2 Timothy 3, verse 1, and it reads, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come." All praises, all power, all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakaha Kodash. Yahweh being the name of the Father, who the world immediately calls God. Yahweh, meaning He exists, He is to be, He is. Bahashem, meaning in the name. Yahushai, who the world immediately calls Jesus Christ. Yahushai, meaning He delivers. Yahi Hawashai, deliverer. Bahashem, in the name. Rakaha Kodash, Spirit Holy. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach well and rule well, who taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the Akyam, the fellow laborers, the hopeful elect, pushing this truth at risk of their own lives through the four corners of the earth. And to the Akwathium listening and learning in sincerity and in truth and in silence, Shalom. Akyam meaning brothers, Akwathium meaning sisters, Shalom meaning peace be unto you. This is your brother Shema from the Pillars of Benjamin camp here in Toronto with another lesson. And we'll get right into it. 2 Timothy 3 verse 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. And we're in those last days, right? NLT. You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times. Right? You look at this word perilous. It's savage. Perilous. Strong's G5467. In the Greek, chalepos. Kalepos. Right? Hard to do, to take, to approach. Hard to bear, troublesome, dangerous, harsh, fierce, savage. Possible scenarios following an EMP event, right? February 3rd, 2023, the hopeful year that all the prophecies shall come to pass. This came out on the Natural News. Electromagnetic pulses, EMPs, such as solar, also known as coronal mass ejections or CMEs, nuclear as a result of a high altitude explosion, or non-nuclear caused by weapons that generate a strong electromagnetic field without using a nuclear explosion, can have similarly significant effects. Prepper or not, it is important that you examine what may happen during the period immediately following an EMP event and understand its dangers, so you can have a plan in place on how to protect yourself and your family from the aftermath. Power outages. An EMP event would destroy the electronics and digital circuitry in the areas of impact, denying electric power to homes, businesses, and the military. Business, financial, health, and transportation systems are all dependent on electricity, as pointed out by Dr. William Graham, chair of the EMP Commission. Entire cities will be without electricity for weeks or even months. This means no lights or no heaters. This means no lights, no heaters, fans, or air conditioners, no freezers or refrigerators for food, and no television, radios, and other electronic devices. The more time passes without electricity, the more stores, corner shops, convenience stores, food marts, mom and pop stores, supermarkets, and pharmacies will close their doors for business. Communication failures. Many personal electronic devices will be rendered inoperable, including laptops or personal computers, mobile phones and radios. This would mean no access to information, inability to communicate with others, and no way to provide assistance to those in need or coordinate a response. Scriptures came to mind, right? Can you see when things like this happen, right? When these things come to pass, it's savage town, man. Right? Lamentations 5. I want to read that in the NLT. Lamentations 5, verse 9 in the NLT. Lamentations 5, verse 9. We hunt for food at the risk of our lives, for violence rules the countryside, right? It's going to get so savage town out here, right? It's going to be at risk of your lives to find food, sustenance. Why? Because it's going to be anarchy, violence. Violence is going to trump everything. It's going to be kill or be killed. Right? Let's read that article. Transportation disruptions. Air, sea, road, and rail transportation that enable mobility will be affected. This would mean no way to go home to your family, no way to evacuate affected areas, no way to travel for medical assistance, and no way to transport food and supplies. While a vehicle's metal shielding can provide some protection, those that are EMP proof would be rendered inoperable by an EMP. Consider what could happen when fast-moving emergency response vehicles, such as ambulances, fire trucks, police cars, and similar on-road vehicles suddenly lost power while driving along busy highways. Even just a few inoperable vehicles would cause a massive traffic pileup along packed expressways. Traffic lights would cease to function and won't come back on. What about bridges and toll roads? Cities would not be able to manage the flow of traffic, and likewise cripple roads. Moreover, fuel extraction and distribution lines would be disrupted, and no gas could be pumped. Unprotected or improperly protected airports and traffic control systems could paralyze thousands of aircraft in the sky. There will be no navigation instruments or fly-by wires to guide pilots. Flights could be grounded altogether, including rail and sea transportation that account for over 20% of commodity transport in North America. Food and water shortages. The majority of the water supply systems use power for pumping and water processing. Hours after the grid goes down, water supply systems would fail and result in water shortages. Another scripture just came to mind. Second Ezra 6. Second Ezra 6, verse 24. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. Right? All hell breaking loose. Friends are going to fight one another like enemies. Right? No power. No electricity. No running water. No medicine. No vehicles. No refrigeration. Heat, AC. Nothing. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. Right? Great fear is going to come on this place. The springs of the fountain shall stand still. That's water problems. No water. No sanitation. Toilet can't flush. No running water. Bottled water is gone because stores have been looted. And in 3 hours they shall not run, right, for a set period of time. Right? Savage times, perilous times are coming. Food and water shortages. The majority of the water supply systems use power for pumping and water processing. Hours after the grid goes down, water supply systems would fail and result in water shortages. The American food chain is reliant on transportation, and a worldwide EMP could cripple fragile networks that make it possible. Refrigeration systems could fail and cause billions of dollars of produce to spoil. Retailers would have a hard time keeping food and water on the shelves, and pharmacies would not be able to restock prescriptions. Financial collapse. Shops and banks need electricity to process transactions. Banks would close and automated teller machines would stop working, So access to your money will immediately cease. Right? People gonna lose it out here, man. Stores that would still be open would be cash only, and you would need cash to live by for a while. Worse than the effects on your bank account would be the ways a long-term power outage would impact the transfer of money on a wider scale. Just an hour of downtime can cost businesses thousands to millions of dollars. Right? Many great miseries come into this place. Right? 2 Ezra 8 verse 50, paraphrasing. Many great miseries. Societal collapse. Right? This is where the savagery begins. Just about every aspect of our lives depends on electricity to operate, and an EMP event could take them all out at once and keep them out for weeks or months. Now imagine no power for months. With no power, communications or transportation, including food and water shortages, and financial collapse, expect widespread panic, looting, home invasions, violence in the streets, and other forms of chaos, lawlessness, and savagery. There's that word, savagery. Deaths would be inevitable. Let's get a scripture. All right, because the only thing that's going to save you in these times to come, because these times are coming. Whether you're here or forbear, these times are coming. Daniel 12, verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, right? The archangel, Maka'ala, right? The great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, Israelites, children of thy people, whose people? Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. Israelites, Israel being a people before a place. So-called indigenous, so-called Latino, so-called Negro. Michael the archangel is going to have to stand up. Divine intervention, right? To protect the elect, Lord willing, we're of that number. It's going to be that bad. We are not going to be able to do anything for ourselves. The angels are going to have to step in. We're reading it. And there shall be a time of trouble, right? A time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time, right? This time has never happened. The time of trouble that is coming has never happened. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, right? The elect, Lord willing, we're of that number. Every one that should be found written in the book, right? It's going to be so bad, so chaotic, savagery. If Michael the archangel and the angels don't step in. Let's finish the article. It goes on to say, even if you live in the city, it'll be at least 24 hours before things fall apart. These are just a few most concerning scenarios a massive EMP could put you in. Another scripture just came to mind. It said, even if you live in the city. Ezekiel 7, verse 15. Ezekiel 7, verse 15. The sword is without. What's a sword? A killing instrument. The modern day sword is a gun. Right? The sword is without. Right? That's in the rural areas. Right? The homesteaders. Right? They got their guns, their bunkers. And the pestilence and the famine within, right? In the cities, a lot of disease and famine. No running water in the cities. That's going to lead to disease. Food's going to run out. Bloated bodies, dead bodies not being buried. That's going to lead to disease. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, right? Those that are in the bush. Those that are in the homesteaders. They're going to die with the sword. Violence. And he that is in the city, right? Your NYCs, your LAs, your San Frans, your London, Seattle, Chicago, right? Las Vegas, right? Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, right? And he that is in the city Famine and pestilence shall devour him. Right? You're gonna starve to death. You're gonna starve to death, or disease gonna kill you, man. Let's continue. It says here, even if you live in the city, it will be at least 24 hours before things fall apart. These are just a few most concerning scenarios a massive EMP could put you in. Keep in mind that it's always prudent to be prepared for the worst. All right, that's it on that. All right. I pray you're edified. I don't want Shalom to the hopeful elect.